place, the Story Cafe. And we're going to continue now with something of a living legend, I would say. We are in Town Centre Park here in Coquitlam, as you know. It's an urban park, and most likely one of Coquitlam's busiest, certainly today and other times of the year. But it wasn't always that way. Our next storyteller knows a thing or two about that, and he also had a thing or two to do with developing and creating this incredible park space that you have in Coquitlam. Don Cunnings was the founder and the head of Coquitlam's Parks and Recreation Department for 38 years, starting back in 1955 through to 1993. He was inducted into Coquitlam Sports Hall of Fame for his work in gymnastics, doing coaching and officiating and really encouraging the sport here in British Columbia. That happened in 2012. Then just a couple of years ago, 2014, he received Coquitlam's highest honor. That is the Freedom of the City. And in 2015, received the UBC Faculty of Education Year of Alumni Award. He's a very distinguished person who came out of UBC and got to work right away in our communities. And we take these things for granted now, the recreation complexes and the public facilities that we all use. But if it wasn't for people like Don Cunnings, we would not be enjoying them. Please welcome Don Cunnings. Here he comes. Was the microbrew good, Don? It was excellent. That's good to hear. Silver-minded.
But there's a story of a woman in Coquitlam who took her car into a garage on North Road and to have the brakes fixed. And when she went to pick up the car, the mechanic said, "I'm sorry, lady, we couldn't fix your brakes, so we made the horn louder." That's your levity for the day. I want you to cast your mind back to 1955 when Coquitlam's Parks and Recreation facilities under then Reeve Jim Christmas was administered by a Park and Recreation Commission system. That was usually 7 volunteers that were selected by municipal council. And that commission system lasted in Coquitlam until 1971, when I was summarily told that the commission system was no longer, and I would be just an ordinary department head working with a team of other gifted people. So during the time that we had a recreation commission system, one of the commissioners happened to be the superintendent of the Lafarge gravel pit, which we're sitting on here right today, which was the 100-acre gravel pit leased from the province of British Columbia. And so we had this gentleman sitting as a recreation commissioner for 5 to 7 years before it was abandoned in 1971. And during that time, I was able to get to know this gentleman, and whose name was Mel Earl, and he just lived over here on Glen Drive. His lot now supports probably a 30-story high-rise. But he's not here today to enjoy that wealth. I mentioned to Mel that, you know, I always view these gravel pits out here as really a land reserve. And as long as they're gravel pits, there'll be no housing, and council someday will really appreciate the fact that they've got a clean slate of land that they can do something very exciting with when the gravel business stops. Well, in 1973, the municipality received a correspondence from a then deputy chairman of Canada Cement Lafarge. And this gentleman's name was Mr. James Sinclair. And Mr. James Sinclair, some of you may remember, was earlier in 1940 the Honorable James Sinclair, Minister of Fisheries. And James Sinclair, like Colonel Moody, had a number of children, all girls, and one of those girls turned out to be Margaret Trudeau. So James Sinclair asked for a meeting with myself and two city planners, and we went into the Bayshore Hotel, and his proposition was he wanted to stay on this 100-acre site and mine gravel below the elevation of Pipeline Road and then on the map only Pine Tree Way. Well, that was a no-no in council's mind. They did not want a big hole in the ground. And we were truly stuck for ideas for this Mr. Sinclair. And as an aside, this is a sidebar, I didn't know it at the time, probably just as well I didn't. This Mr. Sinclair was a pretty sharp guy. He graduated in UBC with an engineering degree. He became a Rhodes Scholar and studied advanced mathematics at Oxford and later at math and physics at Princeton. So here we got this guy sitting across the table in the Bayshore Hotel negotiating with us about this parcel of land. And the meeting was just about to wrap up when the waiter came and filled up our water glass. And the light bulb went off in my head. And I said to Mr. Sinclair, Mr. Sinclair, you know that water in the park is like a fireplace in a front room. And so if you would consider building a man-made lake to Coquitlam specifications and setting aside your company's freehold lands as a park in perpetuity, I would take that concept to Coquitlam Council, and I think it's doable. He stood up, reached across the table, shook my hand, and said, Mr. Cummings, it's a deal. And from that moment, Lafarge Lake went from a glass of water to a lake. There's for sure.
Come back and get your special commemorative pin.
Oh my goodness.
That's the least that we can do in this city to show appreciation. What do you think of what's been created here and what its legacy is? It's inspiring to hear stories like that. I want to hear more from Don Cummings. And yes, congratulations on your career with Coquitlam and what you've brought this city as well.